Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tonight's story starts the way so many life-changing moments do, almost stupidly, with laughter that feels harmless until it isn't. It was a Friday night, the kind where the week has drained every ounce of patience out of you, and the only cure seems to be cheap music, overpriced drinks, and friends who know just enough about your life to be dangerous. I was there with my coworkers, people I laughed with every day, but never really opened up to. The air was thick with noise and neon, and someone had already ordered a second round before the first had settled. That's when the conversation turned, like it always does, to work. To him, my boss. They'd all noticed the way he spoke to me, professional, yes, but warmer than necessary. They noticed how he lingered when asking questions, how his eyes softened when I explained an idea, how he trusted me with things he didn't hand to anyone else. I noticed it too. Of course, I'd noticed it long before they did. But noticing is one thing. Saying it out loud is another. Someone laughed and said it first, like it was a joke. You know he's into you, right? I rolled my eyes, took a sip of my drink, and shrugged it off. I said the usual things. He's my boss. It's nothing. You're imagining it, but once an idea is planted, it grows fast, especially in a room full of people who are half buzzed and bored. The jokes escalated. The teasing sharpened, and then someone said it. I dare you. The word hung there, stupid and electric. I dare you to sleep with your boss. The table exploded with laughter. Glasses clinked. Someone choked on their drink. It felt ridiculous, like a line from a bad reality show. I laughed too, loud enough to convince them and myself that it was impossible. But inside, something twisted, because the truth was, I was tired. Tired of pretending I didn't feel the pull. Tired of wondering what every long glance meant. Tired of replaying conversations in my head on the drive home. Tired of waiting for something I'd never admitted I wanted. I didn't accept the dare. I didn't need to. The idea had already burrowed into my mind. That night, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling while the city hummed outside my window, I couldn't sleep. Not because of the dare exactly, but because it forced me to face something I'd been carefully ignoring. I liked my boss. Not in a silly crush way. Not in a reckless, fleeting way. In a slow, heavy, impossible to ignore way that had been building for months. He wasn't just attractive though, he was. It was the way he listened. The way he remembered small details. The way he challenged me without belittling me. The way he believed in me before I believed in myself. And still, I'd done nothing. Weeks passed after that night. The dare faded into a joke. Everyone forgot, everyone except me. Work went on, as usual. Meetings, deadlines, emails sent at odd hours. But something had shifted. I felt it every time he walked into the room, and I could feel it in him too. Then came the project. A big one, late nights, long hours. Just the two of us staying after everyone else had gone home, the office lights dimmed. The city outside the windows glowing like a living thing. We worked well together. Too well. There were moments, quiet ones, where the air felt charged, where neither of us spoke because speaking might crack something open we couldn't put back. One night, after midnight, we finally leaned back in our chairs, exhausted. The project was done. The silence stretched, comfortable and dangerous. He looked at me, really looked at me, and for a second I thought he might say something, but he didn't. Instead, he smiled softly and said, "You should go home. You've been working too hard." Something in me snapped, not violently, but decisively. "I'm tired," I said. He nodded. Me too. That should have been the end of it. But I didn't stand up. I didn't gather my things. I stayed right where I was. He noticed. There was a pause. Then another. And finally, he asked, carefully, "Is everything okay?" That was the moment. The edge of the cliff. The place where waiting ends and choice begins. "I'm tired of waiting," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. He didn't pretend not to understand. He didn't joke. He didn't look away. He just leaned back, studied me for a long second, and said quietly, "Waiting for what? For you to stop acting like you don't feel this too." The room felt smaller. Or maybe it was just the space between us shrinking. He stood up, slow, like he was giving me time to take it back. I didn't want to cross a line," he said. "Not if you weren't sure." "I am sure," I said. "I have been for a long time." Another pause. Then he smiled, not the professional one, not the polite one, a real one, warm, relieved. "I was starting to think you'd never say anything," he said. "What took you so long?" I laughed. A shaky sound that came from months of holding everything in. "You could have said something too." "I know," he said, "but I didn't want to risk losing you." That mattered. More than I expected. What happened after wasn't a wild fantasy or a reckless mistake. It was quiet. Intentional. Two adults finally admitting what they'd been circling around for months. We talked, really talked, about boundaries, about work, about what this meant and what it didn't. There was no rush, no secret thrill of doing something forbidden. Just honesty, layered and careful. When we finally left the office together that night, the city felt different, like I was walking in a new version of my life. The next few weeks weren't easy. People noticed things. They always do. We handled it professionally, disclosed what we needed to, adjusted roles, made sure no one was uncomfortable, including us. And you know what surprised me most? The relief, the constant tension I'd been carrying disappeared. The wondering, the waiting, the what-ifs. It turned out the hardest part wasn't crossing the line. It was standing on the edge of it for so long. One evening, weeks later, we were sitting across from each other, coffee between us. The world outside, moving at its own pace. He reached for my hand and smiled. You know, he said, I never imagined it would start like this. With a dare, I asked, laughing. With you finally saying something, I squeezed his hand and said, sometimes people don't need a push. They just need to get tired of waiting. So if there's something this story leaves you with, it's this. Dares fade, jokes pass, but the things you wait for too long can quietly shape your life without you noticing. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do isn't something dramatic or reckless. Sometimes it's just saying, honestly, I'm tired of waiting. What took you so long?